Jesse Fuller is a walking miracle. On the surface, he has all the trappings of an average small-town life. Family, income, home, and even a minivan in the driveway. But his story is what sets him apart. That's because he's faced death down twice and lived to tell the tale.
You've cheated death twice now. Most people don't have that experience in their life.
No, they don't.
Though we can laugh now, there's been a lot of tragedy in Fuller's life, starting when he was a 4-year-old boy. His family was on the road home to Nova Scotia when a man escaping police in a stolen tow truck forever altered their course.
He took the tow truck. The keys, I guess, were in it. He pulled out of the garage without really looking to see who was coming on the street. The police were after him at the time, and we just happened to be the unfortunate ones that were passing by.
Fuller was the sole survivor, but the accident landed him in a coma, and the doctors had little hope he would ever wake up. 3 months later, he did.
Did they consider you a miracle?
They did. It was quite astounding to them, and I think that's why everybody remembered me for such a long time.
Fuller has no memories of the accident, nor the family he lost. The only thing he still has from his parents is his last name, something he chose to keep when his aunt and uncle later adopted him.
I kept my own name, just because I felt like it was honoring to my parents, and even at that young age.
And today the Fuller name lives on in his young household. Wife Angela, daughter Melody, and son Christian all know the story of the tragic accident that took his family's life. But they never thought such a tragedy could ever happen to them, and it nearly did. In July 2008, Fuller and his son Christian, not much older than him when he lost his parents, went to the local pool for a swim. Christian was swinging on a rope and wanted his dad to try it too.
I misjudged the time it would take me to catch my breath, and I tried catching my breath after I went off the rope instead of before. And so I fell in the water, and my mouth was still open, so I ended up ingesting water right away. And before I knew it, my lungs had filled up with water, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to get back up.
Even worse, no one noticed he was lying on the bottom of the pool. No one except his son Christian, who yelled for help.
I struggled and tried, but it felt like I was trying to push 1,000 pounds up above my head, you know. So I let go, and I prayed, and I said, God, if nobody comes to get me, I'm not coming back up. I know that now. So I just want you to look after my family. I was in tears under the water.
Also in tears was his son, but a man heard his cry and dove to the bottom to get Jesse. The lifeguards immediately performed CPR before the paramedics arrived. In the meantime, Angela got a phone call.
I don't even remember driving there, and it's only about a 3-minute drive. And they were waiting for me. People out in the parking lot, the ambulance was there, and just panic.
After making sure her son was okay, she went to Jesse, who was on his way to the local hospital. By the time he was transferred to Calgary, he was unconscious and had white lung, a severe respiratory condition that can lead to death.
Basically said he's never seen such a case, and I could see my husband's lung x-ray up on the board, and it was white. And he said, call in the family. I pulled a chair up and I sat beside him, and I just talked to him. I didn't know if he could hear me, and just held his hand and sobbed. And then my youngest brother, I felt arms around me saying, I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Can you read me a bit?
The trauma of that moment is something this family has had to work through. Jesse and his son Christian have gone over the accident again and again.
He did see me, and we have had a couple of times since that he has said, you know, I can't stop thinking about Daddy in the water. But he's doing wonderfully now. He was so brave when this was happening.
People could not.
And talking does help.
I wanted to go, not just with the.
But what really pulled this family through it all was faith and a lot of prayer from friends, families, and even strangers.
The Zion Church here, there was a lot of prayer through that church. My brother-in-laws all go to different churches. There were prayer chains started in their churches.
Prayers also sustained Angela, but it took 5 days for them to be answered when Jesse pulled through and could breathe on his own. Angela remembers those desperate prayers.
He still needs to be here. There's a lot left that he needs to finish. He needs to be the father that my children love and adore, and he needs to be here to be my husband. And I know that you're not done with him yet. And that's what I've always said to Jesse when he was little and he had his accident, that, you know what, you're not done yet, honey. God spared you. God has a bigger plan and a purpose for you.
And that's what motivates Jesse today. He doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about why God spared him twice. He's more concerned with what God has for him to do now.
I think the major lesson to be learned from this, and the major point that God's trying to make, I think it's an exclamation point in my life, is that he has things that maybe somebody else can do them, but he has a purpose and a reason why he wants me to do them.
And through this ordeal and sharing his story, he stumbled across an opportunity to share the good news that changed his life with people halfway around the world. Recently, he went to India and Bangladesh. He was there to help the Dalits, also known as the untouchables in Indian society. It's something this small-town Alberta man never thought he would do. But accidents happen, and they have a way of altering the course of a life. They can also give it new meaning.
We get so wrapped up in what we're doing, we just don't take the time to appreciate the miracle that life really is. And I think something like this has made me, and I hope a lot of other people, recognize the precious gift that life really is.
And his family is sure thankful for the gift they've been given. Just ask his son, Christian. So do you know what a miracle is, Christian?
Yeah, something that makes people happy, something that it's too hard to explain.
It is. It's hard to explain sometimes, but it's...
But do you think that your dad is a miracle?
Yeah.
So does his wife, Angela.
The fact that, you know, I could be a single mother right now, and the way that people have rallied around us and supported us and encouraged us, and the huge testimony that my husband has is amazing. And God is good, and God is great, and God answers prayer. And if anybody doesn't believe that there is a God up in heaven, I mean, how can you not? Yeah. My husband is a miracle for the second time.
In Didsbury, Alberta, Denise, Lodde, 100 Huntley Street.